Welcome to the Mwegas show. I am Kamau Mwega, and today we are going to have a very serious engagement, serious discussion. We are going to talk about fathers and what it means to be either a good father or a strong father. Sawa sawa. So today's life is going to be a bit different from other lives because today we are going to concentrate on fatherhood and what that looks like. I wanted to talk about this because I shared a certain post on Facebook, and this is the screenshot because I did not want us to look at what people commented. I didn't want to expose people's identity and their thoughts on this issue. So, this is what I posted a couple of days ago. This is what it says. We are what we are today because we were raised by weak men. We are what we are today because we were raised by weak men. So there was a lot of um, misunderstanding, misconceptions, misinterpretation of what I said. Okay, and a lot of people went into the default, which was to come in and defend what their fathers did. Right? Women came and said, "My father raised me well." Men came and said, "You know what? I'm not going to blame my father. I take responsibility because, a lot of stuff." Some people even went ahead to, because a friend of mine took a screenshot, of course, hid my name and my avatar or my profile picture and shared on his timeline. And there I was called all sorts of names. Okay, I am weak. I am these people who use these big words to insult. Okay, without really understanding that they are into their emotions, right? Somebody came in and said, and this is on that friend's timeline and also on my timeline. In fact, on that friend's timeline, somebody came and because that friend said that everyone was raised uniquely, every man is unique, all children are unique, so you cannot do all this. And somebody came and said that's not how the world works. We cannot look at the world in general from unique perspectives. We have to look at what is it that is uh, right or factual. What is it that majority of people are doing? Okay. So, for example, if one man out of 10,000 men is raising their kids well, we cannot use that one man to say that kids are being raised well, right? That is illogical. But then to generalize and say men are not doing a good job raising their kids, that does not mean that there are no men who are doing a good job. It means that a majority of men are doing a bad job. And that was the essence of the post. A majority of fathers are failing. Okay. A majority of fathers have failed. A majority of fathers are failing. And a majority of fathers will continue failing if we do not deal with this issue of weak fathers. Okay. So the default response to such a post will be people defending their own. Okay. That is how we are wired. That is how people are wired. That we come in, we defend our own. We want because we don't want to be exposed to be people who were raised by weak fathers. Okay. However, some of those people who came to defend their fathers, if you look at their lives, then you will see the failures of their fathers. Let me repeat that. Those people who came to defend their fathers, if you looked at their lives, you will see the failures of their fathers. But then they are out here defending that man, which is noble and good, but it does not do good to the society, if we are defending people who made mistakes because we love them and because we care, then they will continue making those mistakes. We are not calling out these mistakes because we hate, because we are here to hate. I am very pro men, pro fathers, pro boys, and I want what is best for the demographic that I am most passionate about, that I am most supportive of, because I want them, I want us to do better because I am part of that demographic. Okay. It is noble to come in and defend your own, because at the end of the day, we must have each other's back. But also, we must be able to call out wrong when it is wrong. We have to be able to come out and expressly say, we are fucking up here, we are fucking up there. And that's the whole point why, that's the whole reason why I posted this. We are what we are today because we were raised by weak fathers. So let's look at that statement. We means a collective. We are what we are today, so the modern times, because we were raised by men who did not know what they needed to do. And probably it was not their fault. It was the fault of their fathers and their fathers' fathers' fault. And it might have gone down a couple of generations. But that does not negate the fact that we were raised by weak fathers. Okay, irrespective of who is to blame, we are where we are because of the people who raised us, the men. Let's look at the society. The society today is fucked up. That is something which nobody argues about. That nobody contradicts that statement that today's society is fucked up. It does not matter where you are, whether you are in the West, in the East, in Africa, wherever you are. Everyone recognizes, or at least a majority of people recognizes, that the society, the current society, is fucked up. Now, what is a family? A family is the smallest unit of a society. The family is the smallest unit in a society. So, what you see in the larger society, the problem is in the family. If the family is good, then the larger society is good. If the family is good, then the larger society is good. But if the family is fucked up, then the larger society will be fucked up. Who is in charge of the family? The father. The head of the family is the father. So when we are looking at who are we going to blame for the fuck ups of our society, we have to come back to this smallest denominator, this smallest unit, and see who is in charge of this smallest unit. And that is the father. And so fathers are to blame for the fuck ups of the society. Fathers as a demographic, not fathers as an individual, as a demographic. Fathers as a collective have failed. I am a father, I have two sons. And I can say that I am also failing in some aspects. Because this thing where we look at the people who we care about and we want to defend them is, is noble, but it's also stupid to a level. Okay? Because you coming telling me that my father did a wonderful job. But then I look at you and I say, number one, you are unmarried. Number two, you have multiple kids by multiple men. So, what are you trying to tell me? Your father taught you to do that. Is that what your father raised you to be? Because we are a reflection of our upbringing. This nonsense of, you can raise your child well, but then they turn out bad, doesn't make sense. This is like saying, I have a mathematical problem and I put in the correct formula and I did the right calculations. I did all calculations correctly, but then I got the wrong answer. It is illogical. It is irrational. You get what I'm saying? a mathematical problem. You have one apple, you have two children. So, and you want to divide this apple equally. How much or what percentage of the apple will each child get? So you have that problem, you put in the correct formula, and then you do the correct calculations, and then you come up with an answer of 3/4. That does not make any sense. Anyone will look at you and think you are crazy. I mean, I'm looking at this problem and looking at the correct formula, and I'm looking at the correct calculations, and then I'm ending up with the wrong answer. That does not happen. So somewhere along the way, something was fucked up. Either I didn't put the correct formula. Number one, either I didn't understand the question. So I put the wrong formula, and my calculations were correct, and my answer was correct according to the formula. But according to the problem, all this where I misunderstood the problem. That's where everything went left, right? So the formula is good, but for the wrong problem. Are you understanding what I'm saying? I put in a good formula, but uh, for the wrong problem. That was not what was being asked. It is like when somebody gets into an exam room, and then the instructions is or are don't answer any question. So the first thing you do when you get into the exam room is to read the instructions on the question paper, right? And then the question paper says, don't answer any question. And then you go ahead and you answer all questions, you put in all the correct answers and everything. But what were the instructions? Don't answer any question. So you worked very hard to do the wrong thing. So this thing of I raised my child well, but they turned out badly. Let's first of all call that BS. That's bullshit. First of all, anyone who comes and tries to sell you that nonsense, just tell them to go get a brain or go get a brain transplant, because that's BS. Okay, something went wrong somewhere. Something went wrong somewhere. Look, it does not matter whose fault it was, whether it was the mother's or the child's. The buck stops at the feet of the father, because he is in charge of the family. So it doesn't matter who is fucking up, it is the person who is in charge who gets blamed. It's like a CEO. A CEO of a company, if a company is doing badly because of its sales representatives, then the CEO catches the hit. Why? Because he's supposed to be in charge of these people. And if they are fucking up under his watch, then he is not serious with his work. And probably he supports what they are doing. So you cannot say, if I'm a CEO of a company and I get in trouble with my board because my sales representatives are talking down to customers and doing all this nonsense, and so we are losing revenue. I cannot sit there and say I am blaming the salespeople. No, the board put me in charge of the salespeople. The board put me in charge of the marketing department. The board put me in charge of the finance department. The board put me in charge on the production department because I am the guy in charge. So I have to know what the production people are doing, what the marketing and sales people are doing, what the finance is doing, because I am the one who is running these things. Okay? So now, the society is fucked up because fathers are weak. Fathers are not taking responsibility. Now that I am done with the introduction, I want us to look at what are these ideals or principles that I believe constitute strong fathers. And I also want us to look at, is a strong father a good father? Can a father be good and weak? is a good father synonymous with a strong father? That's what I want also us to talk about. Okay, because at the end of the day, I can't come complaining and then don't have a way forward or something which I think, ideals which I think if men put in place could change this narrative, change this direction that we are going for the better. Now, when I talk about fathers, I mean men who have children and men who have the ability to have children and men who want to have children. When I talk fathers, I'm talking about men who already have children, men who already have the ability to have children, and men who want to have children. Okay. So it can be all three, two of them, or one. So a father, if you are a person, for example, you're a 16-year-old boy who is growing up, or 16-year-old young man who is growing up, and one of your aspirations, plans in life, goals is to start a family, then you are already a father because you are already into the mentality of fatherhood. That is something you want to do. So most people want to come correct a problem once it has occurred. I think it is important to start dealing with this issue before it happens. So if we can encourage young boys, if we can teach them the ideals, that's what happened back in the day in the traditional African society. Once people went through the rite of passage of adulthood, they were taught how to be fathers, they were taught how to be husbands, they were taught about how to be men of consequence in the society. And that's why most of those societies thrived, because there was a process of mentorship, there was a process of teaching and learning and growing and grooming already. So there were mentors who would guide you in this process. There were teachers who will teach you in this process. And this is something we are failing to do because we are waiting for men to have children so that we start teaching them about fatherhood. This thing should come when the boy gets the ability, when the boy is already able to impregnate, when they are going through puberty and adolescence. That's when we should catch them and teach them. If we did that, then we wouldn't have the number of teenage fathers and mothers we have today, the large number of teen moms and dads. If we taught our young, we wouldn't have the largest, the growing number of single mothers wouldn't be that high. I mean, there were always single mothers, right? Because somewhere, somehow, people manage to fuck up, even in a society where people are being told stuff. There were just people who will fuck up. But then that issue will be there were consequences which deterred a majority of people from making that mistake, right? The repercussions were very clear and the consequences were very clear. So, as a deterrent, a lot of people did not go down that route. But today, you see women probably saying, I am a mother of one, I am a mother of two, and they are single, a single mother of one, a single mother of two, a single mother of three, proudly. So, somewhere, somehow, we men fucked up, we fathers fucked up. Now, I just wanted to say that we are not only talking, I am not only addressing and talking to men who already have children. I am also talking to men who have the ability, or young men who have the ability to have children, and those men who want to have children, even if they can't have children because of whatever reason, but they want to. Because science has enabled people through surrogacy, through whatever, you go to a clinic and they do what they do, and you are a father, your own biological child. Even if you are impotent, even if, whatever, all these challenges, science has come to bring some kind of a solution to it. But are you mentally, psychologically prepared to be a father? Do you know what it means to be a father? Now, I put down a couple of notes, and this is something I want to say. All strong fathers are good fathers, but not all good fathers are strong fathers. Let me repeat. All strong fathers are good fathers, but not all good fathers are strong fathers. What do I mean by this? So, who is a good father? So, I went and I did a bit of reading and research, and from I found that religious websites are the ones who are more or less concerned with this question, or those are the people who have put in the work to answer questions of fatherhood, motherhood, and family. Those who are the people who are putting in the work. And so the definitions or the things I'm going to tell you, most of them are influenced by the Judeo religion. So that is Islam and Christianity. And I think that one translates to like across. I don't think there is anything I'm going to say that somebody who practices Hinduism would have a big issue with. I'm just putting it out there, just coming out clean to show you what my sources were or are for what I'm going to talk about today. So I know there are people whose default position is if it is Christian, I already dismiss it. If it is Muslim, if it is religious, I immediately dismiss it. That is stupidity of the highest order. Okay. Because you have to listen to the content and then agree or disagree with the content. Like I said, this is something I found when I did my research, and also I put in my own thoughts. That does not mean that I know everything. I know I'm human, and there is a possibility that I will make mistakes, or what I'm talking about might not come out as clearly as I want it to come out, or might be confusing because of the way I'm presenting it. But then I want to encourage you to comment with your disagreement or with your agreements, or just post a comment about what I am going to talk about next. Okay, because it's only by engaging, discussing, and bringing in argument, different aspects, and seeing those different views clash, that we get to know which one do we want to go with. Okay, once these two different views come and clash, where people come in and express their thoughts respectfully or disrespectfully, whichever one you want to pick, as long as you're sharing your thoughts, okay, on the issue. Anyway, let's do this. So a good father is one who spends time with his kids and cultivates good work-life balance. This is something I got from some Christian website. And it added this thing: providing financially for kids isn't as important as actively being in their lives and helping mold and shape their personalities, values, and characters. That's why I said I took this thing from some Christian website, because this does not make sense. This part, providing financially for kids, isn't as important as actively being in their lives and helping mold and shape their personality, values, and character. As a father, what is your primary duty? As a father, what is your primary duty? You've already had the kids. So, what is your primary duty to those kids. And this is something which we can extrapolate to what is the primary duty of a man in a marriage, of a husband. Because for a husband, this one relates to the wife. But then, as a father, it relates to the kids. But then you do realize if you've been married, if you've been with married people, the only difference between the duties of a father and the duties of a husband is only the sexual component. Because the sexual component is the one that, you know, is different because that is for the wife, not for the kids. But every other thing stays constant. So the procreation bit is the only bit which is different between the roles of a father and the roles of a husband. Let me repeat that. Man's primary duty, a husband's primary duty is provision, protection, procreation. Those three: provision, protection, procreation. A father's duty is provision, protection, leadership, or nurturing, mentorship, hizo vitu. So when we come at, they say the three P's, but then also a husband leads his wife. So it is protection, provision, procreation, leadership. So when we come to kids, we have protection, provision, leadership. So the procreation is the one that you remove as a father. So when somebody says provision is not as important as being there for your kids, it's saying that leadership is more important than provision. But then how do you lead children who are hungry? I have a saying in the work I do, because I do work with young people and community work, is that you can't, even a pastor knows you cannot preach to a hungry person. A hungry person's priority is to fill the belly. So once the belly is full, now you can give them whatever information you have. So there is no way you can be there for your kids to nurture, and let me see what, to nurture, shape, mold their personality, values, and characters when your kids are perpetually hungry. So this is where we differentiate between a good father and a strong father. Because a good father will prioritize the molding, the shaping of the personality, the values, the characters over the primary provision role. However, a strong father understands that he cannot mold a hungry child. A hungry child, once you become a parent, you understand how children relate with presents, or how children relate with people they believe or perceive to be the one who gives them treats, who feeds their belly. So a child doesn't mind a lot about a lot of things as long as they are full. Even people will tell you, mtoto wangu bora ameshiba, anaga story. But woe unto you, please try dealing with a hungry child. It doesn't matter whether the child is 1 month, 3 months, 5 years, 15 years. Once a child is hungry, there is nothing that will get into their minds. That is why even in Kenyan primary schools, they have some feeding programs in those low-income places. Because how do you start teaching mathematics to a child who slept hungry, woke up in the morning, didn't have breakfast, and came to school? The child will not even concentrate on what is it that you're saying. All right? Now, so that's the difference between a strong father and a good father. A good father, the thing I can say is a good father lives in a blue pill world, right? Where they think that just because they are They have they have good intentions, that one will translate into good outcomes. Now, what is a strong father? A strong father, what is different between this good father and a strong father? A strong father is one who is willing to do what is necessary for the good of his children, no matter the cost to himself. All right? A good father is one who is willing. So, a good father is about being present. A strong father understands that his absence sometimes is necessary for the good of his children, because he understands that providing financially is key. So what happens when kids are not provided for financially? They'll go out there and start providing for themselves, because a child will not stay hungry for 2 days, and they can go out there waokote ma plastics and whatever, and waende wauze na wapite mahali wakule chapati chafua na washibe. A hungry child hata ogopa kuchukua sufuria zako kwa nyumba aende akauze, because ako na njaa. So nani ametani mtoto wake into mwizi? It is you, because you felt, you were taught, you were told that, being there molding them sijui nini is more important than providing financially for your kids. Kids who are contented in their own homes, who have what they need, not what they want, who have what they need in their homes, more or less they turn out well. So now, a strong father is someone who is willing to do what is necessary for the good of his children, no matter the cost for himself. Men who stay away from their kids suffer a lot because we have a connection with our seed. But they understand this is a sacrifice I have to make for the good of my family. A good father's primary concern is to his kids. However, a strong father's concern is to his grandkids and their grandkids. So a good father is concerned with his kids. A strong father is concerned with his grandkids and their grandkids. So what does this mean? A good father is playing the short game. I just want my kids to turn out well. No. A strong father is about, I not only want my kids to turn out well, but I want them to raise my grandkids well, and their grandkids will raise their grandkids well. So it is a generational thing. A strong father looks at the generation. So it's not about, I am just doing the bare minimum to make sure my kids are good. No, a strong father will work to instill the necessary principles onto his kids, so that the kids can instill those principles onto their kids, who will instill those principles onto their kids. So it is kind of like a generational thing. Do you get what I'm saying? So a strong father is like, I've raised my kid well, thank God. No, a strong father also follows up how their kids are raising their kids. It's like, I didn't raise you this way. Why are you raising my grandkids this way? And I taught you better. So a strong father is not someone to joke around with the generations that are coming, because he knows. Like right now, when I started, I said our fathers were weak because their fathers were weak, because the fathers of their fathers were weak. So we can see the weakness of our great grandfathers by how our fathers raised us. Now, we also can see the strength of the great grandfathers by how differently we are raising our kids. So people will see how good we were in raising kids by how our great great grandkids are turning out. So we look back and say, wow, this child must have been raised well because his father was raised well, because the father of his father was raised well, so they can trace it back. So we are not only blaming our fathers. We are blaming their fathers and the fathers of their fathers and the fathers of their fathers. Now let's look at the traits of good fathers versus the traits mm, of strong fathers. So good fathers are patient, right? Good fathers are patient. Strong fathers are not patient. So a father will inevitably face challenges from his relationship with his children, and even from himself. He will be tested. He will have to do things both normal, things both noble and lowly, and he must be able to endure it without giving up. That's great. That's those are traits of a good father and a strong father. The truth is, the fatherhood isn't always fun. In fact, it's downright difficult. So this is from the beliefnet.com. Okay, beliefnet.com. Fatherhood isn't always fun. In fact, it's downright difficult. Children constantly test boundaries from the time they can say no to the time they move out. So a good father has to be patient. Now, a strong father will show impatience because he knows that he does not have infinite time to impact on his children. He has SMART goals. So what does SMART mean? SMART is specific, measurable, attainable, I think nawaga sijui ni reliable, alafu time bound. So he knows he does not have infinite time. Okay. The time, like he doesn't have all the time in the world. The time he has is infinite, meaning it is short. He doesn't have infinity. Look, we in fact, I think they say that the first 5 years of your child life is where you lay down the foundation. And then before they get to 11, 12, their brain is still malleable, right? So you only have time between when they are 0 to somewhere like 11, 12, 13. Before they are preteens. And then when they get into teens, that's when now they start building themselves. So you need to have given them enough raw materials, the right raw materials, so that when now they are starting to rebuild themselves. Because when they get to adolescence, they look at what you've been teaching them, and now they want to rebuild what you've built. So you have to have given them the best raw materials, so that when they are rebuilding themselves, they have a good foundation. So your job is to build a strong foundation, and you do not have all the time in the world. So you must be impatient. But then your impatience must be measured. You cannot expect a 5-year-old to behave like an 11-year-old. So even your impatience has to be measured. But you can't be infinitely patient or indefinitely patient. You have to show impatience. That's what a strong man does, a strong father does. Even in school, we have targets, you have deadlines. By this time, you need to have done your homework by the time you come to this class. So you can't just allow a child to do homework when they want. So what happens when they want to do homework ya grade 2 wakati wako grade 8? I have iron sheets. It started raining, so it's going to interfere with the quality of the sounds. So what do? Let's meet sometime, probably during the day mvua ikiisha huko either early afternoon or wherever. I will tell you sawa sawa baadaye. Let's pick it up from there sawa sawa, because of the iron sheet. My apologies.